Namaste everyone, I'm Anna, and today we're going to just touch on the Ayurvedic view of the immune system and how we can nourish our immune strength, and just some ideas about sort of how we look at the immune system, because Ayurveda sees everything as being interconnected, so all the systems in the body are linked, including the mind. And we call the immune system, well, there's another word called ojas, which is closely linked to more the building blocks of the immune system, the foundation, the building blocks. And it can also be called, ojas could be sort of referred to as the potential source of strength and power and resilience in our body that we can build up to be more resistant to illness, and we can call it our natural immunity. So we are in this material world, in this body that we're in for this life, and so every single day we are exposed to all of these external influences, whether it be the weather outside, the change of season, the air quality, anything through to being exposed to viruses and bacteria. And even internally, there's things we can't control, like our genetic makeup and our weaknesses and that type of thing. But what we can control is the choices that we make every single day. So moment to moment, we are faced with a choice for everything we do. And through those choices, we have an opportunity to build our vitality and build our resistance to those things that might affect our health and might wear us down. So I was just going to touch on three things today, three things to think about in relation to the immune system. And the first one is regularity in our life and living in accordance with nature. So the natural laws of this world are one of those things that we can't change, even if we try and ignore it or shy away from it. We are much more in a better place if we tune in to what's going on outside. As simple as the sun rising and we get up, that's the time things are moving in the body. When the sun goes down or starts to go down, we start to wind down our activities, and when it's nighttime, we sleep so that our body can do its repair work. Even things like if it's raining outside, then we try and avoid cold, damp foods, or if it's cold and rainy outside. So if we don't take those opportunities, then our body's intelligence can become deranged, and that's where we can start to move into a bit of an endless cycle and make bad choices, and that can affect our health and affect our immune system. So a regular routine is really quite paramount to staying balanced and keeping our immune system strong and our body's intelligence intact. And there's many daily routines you can incorporate. I've done some other videos with some Ayurvedic regimes. But that was sort of the first thing I wanted to touch on. And then secondly is our digestion, which is very closely linked to our immune strength. And digestion also incorporates the function of our liver. And in Ayurveda, digestion is seen to be, really the prime cause or the root cause of most diseases comes from if our digestive function is not working properly. So that's where problems start. So if we aren't digesting and assimilating food properly, then toxins can form in the body, and those toxins will move to our weak spots. So that's where problems can start. So if you think about a fire, all the elements you need, if you've ever built a fire, you need to have the right quality of the wood, not too dry, not too damp. You need to have the right amount of air, you need oxygen, you need the right amount of heat to keep that fire burning really at a steady pace. And that's the same with our digestive fire, or our Agni, which we call it in Ayurveda. So as far as foods go, it's a big subject, but I'm just going to mention a couple of things about especially if you're experiencing sluggish digestion, or you're sick, or even especially if it's wintertime, the best food to have, the lightest food, is warm cooked foods. So soups and cooked seasonal vegetables, lightly spiced to assist digestion with good quality oils, whole grains, cooked whole grains like basmati rice. The lightest and easiest to digest lentils are mung beans, so yellow split mung or whole mung. So foods that are lighter on the body, lighter on the mind, they're also foods that are in the mode of goodness. So that simply means that they're lighter on our whole system and easier to process. So the main cause of digestion problems as far as food goes is eating foods that are too heavy or too cold or too dry, excessive eating or even excessive fasting can cause digestive problems. Processed foods, all the things that it's kind of, we sort of, most of it, you kind of know what the foods that you should be avoiding. Tinned foods, really old food, like leftovers that's a few days old. These are sort of like, it's just not really worth even making our body try and process those kind of foods. They lack in prana. And things like excessive alcohol, sleeping during the day, like sleeping in and that type of thing, that can all affect your digestion. And just irregular routines, irregular eating, irregularity, that's going to affect it. So when your digestion's affected, so is your mind. And the interesting thing about Ayurveda is we don't just talk about digestion as in digesting foods, but also your mind has Agni, has a digestive capacity, so we have to keep that working as well. So we've got to sort of look at not just what we're feeding our body, but also what we're feeding our mind, which is the next thing I was just going to finish off with, was that nourishment of our tissues, which is why we want to eat the best foods possible. And if our digestion's not working properly, then no matter what we eat, we're not going to be nourished. And it's similar to the mind. If the mind is not in a good state, if it's not processing things properly, then we might think that we're living this really good lifestyle, but if there's things there that are affecting it, then it's going to be another sort of endless cycle and affect our health and our immune system. So think about what you do every day and who you hang out with, what we eat, which we've talked about, what we watch, what we listen to. Basically anything we need to take in through our senses will affect us in some way. And one of the biggest causes of illness and disease is misuse of the senses. So overuse or underuse or deranged use of our senses. So a simple example is if you've got headphones on listening to really, really loud music, that'll eventually affect your hearing and possibly cause ringing in the ears and that kind of thing. We can experience these things occasionally, and if our resistance is good, then it won't matter. But if we continually doing these things, it'll eventually wear us down, and it's not nourishing us, it's depleting us. So the same with processing thoughts, on a mind level. We have to process our thoughts just like we have to process food. So if we're not doing that, repressed emotions can happen, and that affects our health as well. The best way to nourish the mind is through meditation. There's so many things that nourish ojas or nourish our tissues and our immune system, as well as meditation, yoga asanas, yoga breathing, pranayama, being out in natural environments, and just cultivating a good mindset, cultivating kindness and gratefulness and compassion, and trying to be like this, or be around people like this, because obviously we can't sometimes we can't avoid being in unsavory situations, but if we can cultivate it enough within, then it's going to build resistance so we can deal with it when we are around it. So that idea of moving away from an I-centered life, so always thinking about ourselves and satisfying our desires, that can be quite depleting on our health and our immune system. And there's actually been studies done that volunteering can really improve health. There's been studies done that show that it reduces blood pressure and reduces stress levels. It helps people sleep better and actually helps people live longer. And that's, of course, if you're actually doing it for the right reasons, because you actually want to help people, not just for yourself. We all know that good feeling of when we do something kind for someone and without wanting anything in return. You feel it in your heart. And it's different to that feeling, that sensory flash if you have your favourite food or something like that. It's actually more of a feeling of, on subtle levels, it's helping your consciousness. And it's actually, those sort of things are what nourishes our immune strength and our health and are actually good for us on deeper levels. So it's pretty obvious the things that deplete immunity, strong emotions like stress and anger and anxiety, overworking yourself, excessive alcohol, smoking, drugs, painkillers, all that type of thing. Things like violence, even violent movies, that's sort of overusing the senses and overloading the senses. And too much screen time in general, that's one that really weakens your immune system and affects the flow of prana in the body. Depending on what you're watching, it's going to be, some things are going to be worse than others. So if you can start to tune in with your body and to the rhythms of nature and start to be aware of what's nourishing for your mind and start to be aware of the choices that you make, you can empower your health and yourself by those choices. Every day you have so many choices of what you're going to do and who you're going to be around. And we can also, just by looking at the bigger picture of, who we are in this world, we're an eternal spirit soul in this body temporarily, and we're so fortunate to have a human body, so we need to look after it. And just by understanding the temporary nature of this world, we can sort of see, well, we may as well, do as much good as we can in this world. And through meditation and bona fide meditation practice and mantra meditation, this can help so much because our spiritual growth is interconnected with our body and our mind and the health of our mind. So really to have that real purpose in life and that real understanding of the nature of this world is also really beneficial for our health. So I'm sure if you've been on the channel ASMY TV, there's plenty of amazing classes, meditation sessions that you can join in. You can even just say a mantra. If you're feeling anxious or stressed, you can just close your eyes and say Goranga. You'll immediately feel better. Namaste. Thanks for listening. See you soon.